fever or the sickness that that they would just be in a coma.
Oh, yeah?
So they would wait 3 days. They would have them displayed for 3 days to see if they would wake up.
Oh.
They used to have things that they put in the graves too, like speaker kind of things or air pipes or something, in case somebody got buried alive. It happened a lot.
That's why I prefer to be cremated, Not we're live, but, I'm just saying, nowadays, because if I'm dead and I know there's no way to get me back, yeah, just cremate. Don't put me in a coffin or a casket, because
you don't want to be. You don't want to be frozen for science, just in case whatever kills you, they can cure it.
Yeah, because science, science will want to work with me, of course. Use my brain for everything,
Well,
my great brain. Hey, there he is.
Holy shit! Who is that?
Right?
I'm Forrest Gump. Very nice to meet you.
Wow.
Jenny.
Hi, Mama G. I just wasn't recognizing the guy over there and the other, the
I know. That's what I said. I said, what happened to your head? I see a whole lot more of it now.
The converted Shaggy DA. What the fuck?
Oh, my goodness, sir.
It's like your head's inside out.
Yeah, that's right. I look more like Tom Hanks than I do anything else, probably.
It's really weird.
Tom Hanks if he had Down syndrome. What?
It's really weird when you cut your hair, man. Because, like,
well, yeah. Well, I mean, it was weird for me to do it, but I did it because, I kept hearing how Dad didn't like my hair. Like that was the one thing that he was so concerned about when he was dead or before he died. More than anything else, bills and my hair. I'm just like, why do you care about that? You should be worried about your life. Your life is literally on the line right now because of just the situation. You're worried about my hair and bills.
I grew up in Utah, and from the time I knew very early on in my life, I mean, like from birth, that I wasn't a Mormon, and I was born and raised in the Mormon church, but I knew it's one of those things that inherently I just knew from the time I was a kid. I just didn't buy it. And,
sure.
And I always wanted long hair from the minute the 60s hit, and I recognized that, the hippie era. I always wanted fucking long hair. And so the minute that I got into the wrestling business and left college, because when you're an amateur wrestler, I had to have short hair all the way through fucking college.
Sure.
And then I went to Japan, and the Japanese wanted me to have fucking short hair, and I didn't want to do that.
And that's weird because most of them all have long hair. Most of them all have long hair.
I never understood that, and I just said fuck it, and I just shaved my hair off right before I started working with you guys, and
good.
I still have it. I'm going to make a hat out of my hair so that when I want long hair, I can just put that hat on. Right. I'm
back a ponytail if you want.
I'll try and get it done before we start again. But I always fucking wanted long hair because everybody cared about that so much. And you know what I used to always say to them? Have you been to the visitor center at Temple Square in Salt Lake City? If neither of you have, there's a tremendous statue of Jesus in there.
Okay.
And I said to them, in case all of you are blind, he has long hair.
Exactly.
What the fuck difference? Well, what the fuck difference? And then besides that, what the fuck
you're no
difference?
Jesus, sir.
What is yeah, well, but the irony of it all is what does the length of your hair? That's like, that's such the old adage of judging a book by its cover.
Yes.
It just makes it. You honestly believe because somebody has short hair that their caliber of their personage is any better than anyone else? You're out of your mind.
Yeah, Native American men grew their hair long to show what great warriors they were. It was a symbol of being a great warrior. Speaking of, Did you guys
Yes,
see
I
Sam's
did.
picture?
No, I haven't. I just started getting online. I woke up here about an hour ago, so I'm just kind of just.
About
Use
Mark.
that guy on Pawn Stars. That's what he looks like. He did an AI thing where his hair is all cut off.
Oh yeah, okay. I saw that
So he's
one.
bald. He
I
looks
saw
just
that
like that
yesterday.
guy on Pawn Stars.
I saw that yesterday.
Who did that?
Sam.
Sam. He was using AI. You know,
Oh my God.
he uses it a lot, and that's the thing. It's funny when people say they hate AI, but yet they use it. They're using it just as much as everybody else.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny.
They give him a different persona.
Brother was telling him how great he looks. You should do it. You say
anyway, so yeah, it definitely was a somber weekend, and that's why we're kind of starting a little bit early. Like Mark won't be until here another 24 minutes or whatever, but I kind of wanted to let you guys kind of know and just remind everybody, because we are live right now on Facebook, that we are not. This is not like an episode of Renegade Radio, because I know Eric and Mr. Antique Man always thinks that when I do some of these exclusive interviews that this is it is part of the show, but it's not an episode. I mean, it's an episode, but it's not an episode of Renegade Radio. It's just an exclusive interview. I scheduled this before all this stuff happened and all that stuff. And this is the only one I'm doing for spring break. We'll be back normally Monday, April 6th, and we'll go till the end of April, lead up to our 100th episode. So that's what the plan is. Cool. Nothing else fucks it up, which I hope not. I don't think anything should. Hopefully not, but I'm not going to,
knock on wood.
Wait, what did you say?
Monday, April 6th, all the way to Monday, April 27th. Every Monday in April, we will be live.
So my surgery got moved to the 3rd. I don't think.
Okay.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping I don't have to stay in the hospital for 4 days again.
Okay.
So there's a chance I won't be here, but I'll let you know. But
that's fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna do everything I can to make it.
I don't know. I'm going to try to get us a guest. I'm working on something here, but April's going to be a big month for us because it literally leads up to our 100th episode. People don't realize how special a month this is going to be, especially for me now that I have something to shoot for now and kind of think about after Dad passed and everything, because it's been a hard
yeah.
This whole weekend has been, I was in Greenbush for 5 days after we did the Grand Forks show, and I tell you, all the type of emotions, man. And then getting close to the wake and then the funeral, and just like, and then afterwards, we wanted to celebrate my brother's birthday because he turned 39 day after the funeral. I think this is probably the most hardest birthday we ever had to celebrate, because he didn't really want to. He was all cool with it, but he didn't really want to celebrate it. He was more hurt, than anybody else. Because the cemetery is close to where he lives, and I went there too. And boy, I tell you, I didn't think I'd cry as much as I did, but I wanted to do it privately. I didn't want to do it in front of people because it's hard for me to. It was hard to stay sane anyway in front of all types of people when they're hugging you and wishing you condolences and all that stuff, all the stuff that I figured was going to happen. But then, people surprised my mother, man, I tell you, she, with everything that we've gotten so far and all the support from the community and everything and from all over, it's like, wow, I'm just, Dad's local business or the place that he worked at, One Better Liquor, gave us enough money to take care of some bills for a while, so that you don't have to, that Mom won't have to worry about anything for a little while. That was unexpected.
Nice.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
Kind of like a retirement package.
Well, kind of, but not really. No, it was One Better
Severance
Liquor.
package, I guess.
One Better Liquor doesn't have those type of things. They're just a liquor store. It's right in Greenbush. I'm sure you've heard of it before. Ever heard of somebody named Diane Rude, Chad Rude?
Yeah.
They're from the Greenbush area. Or if you remember a guy named Dick Tim, or Diane Tim, that's her dad. Dick is her dad. Anyway, he started the off sale business in Greenbush back like in 1986 or 87, and Dad was one of the first people that he hired, and Dad was pretty much with them until he died, on and off, but he was with them, and so Diane and Dad were very close, because Dad watched Diane grow up, from being a little girl to being high schooler, graduate, and then having her own family and everything, and all the struggles that she's gone through in her life with everything, and then seeing her have a family and seeing her be successful. That liquor store is one of the most successful liquor stores in northern Minnesota, because when the pandemic came, that place, everybody else would close early, but not her. She would stay open the normal times, and that gave her more business. So the local,
yeah, of course,
the places that were like in Roseau or Thief River would close early because they were worried about COVID and all that stuff. Well, she's staying open, and she made thousands upon thousands of dollars. She's not rich by any means. I'm not saying they're millionaires or whatever, but they did pretty good during that period, and so people remember that, and so they go to her now, instead of going to the local places, because the local places don't give as many offers or deals as she does. She's more, if she likes you, she'll work with you. She'll do anything for you. She wants to keep she loves her customers, and she knew that Dad was also a good eye of the character judgment, kind of like when it came to knowing who's old enough, who's not. Anytime they run these, because sometimes they'll run these little schemes where the police want to get involved and see if everybody knows how to do their job and everything. And Dad hated that when they did that.
Yeah, that carding thing.
Yeah, where somebody would come in that is a minor or is a minor, but do we know if they're a minor or not? Is he going to ask for his ID or whatever? But Dad always asks for ID if he didn't know you, especially. So anyway, so Diane's hurting like she lost another father, so it's like, yeah, it's kind of, it's just weird, and it's going to be weird for a while and stuff, but like I said, I'm going to try to be strong for everybody, because one thing that was kind of nice was that everybody, a lot of family showed up, a lot of friends showed up, and the Facebook just kind of boomed, over everything, because there's a lot of people that Dad knew that I didn't know who these people are, all from his history, 75 years or almost 75 years of life. He knew a lot of people. That's kind of how I feel myself, because I'm kind of just like him, I'm sociable. I know a lot of people, and, so it's like, kind of nice to know a lot of people and everything. But anyway, so I won't try to bring it up too much more, but I do plan on making a video about it, probably today or tomorrow or whatever, because I wanted to wait till after the funeral and stuff was over, because there's a lot of things I want to say, about everything. And I'm not going to put everybody under the bus or anything. It's just my personal goodbye to my father. And then that'll help me move on a little bit afterwards. So,
well, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I was going to say, too, I mean, anything off the subject or whatever, but I'm free, today, tomorrow, Wednesday. I don't have to go back to work till Thursday, so it's been nice to have a little break. So if there's anything that's going on that you think I should be a part of, or if you want somebody to come over and hang out, I'll come hang out. I don't care. I'll drive.
Well, I've got the baby. Remember, we're getting the baby
that's
on.
Right. That's right. Your mother. She's mother. Everybody. Another mother.
Grandma. No.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Margaret is. She said the baby's been in the womb for too long, and she's being evicted on Tuesday.
Oh.
So yeah, she's going into
the plan.
Get induced.
Or is it induced?
Yeah, induced tomorrow. Yeah. So
wait a minute. So you're having another grandbaby.
Yeah. So I'm taking Athena. Athena will be a year old in 2 months. So.
Okay.
Well, less than 2 months, month and a half. But so she's gonna stay the week with Grandma and give Mommy and Daddy a break, and not so they don't have a little rugrat running around the hospital.
Well, that's all right. I mean, hey, that's fun.
Well, she doesn't run. She crawls really fast and she climbs up on stuff. I got the whole downstairs baby proof now, and
so she's a little monkey then, huh?
Oh yeah, she stands up on stuff. She'll pull herself up and she tries to walk.
You can make her one of those. You can make her a meme or a viral video. Just watch anything she does, and
Monkey girl.
I saw these videos of these kids that just like talk back to their parents, and I'm just like, holy shit! Oh man,
right?
Even with the little kids too, they're just like swearing at their kids and everything. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on?
And that's the thing. My daughter does not believe in physical punishment, and I'm like, you know what? There are children that do need to get their asses whooped.
Oh, if you don't mind,
there are serious. It's not something you do on a regular basis. It's not for every punishment. But when they get to that point where they're not responding to anything else, you know what? Give them a good hard crack on the ass.
Yeah,
it's enough now.
I feel my nephews.
You don't leave bruises or anything, but
my nephews.
Or they did something very dangerous that could have hurt themselves.
Oh yeah.
Hurt somebody else.
Well,
what do you smack the kid's hand when they're reaching for the hot burner, or do you let them burn themselves?
Put it this way, I'm glad that I don't have any children. Honestly, at one time I wanted kids.
I think the whole world is with you on that one.
Oh, shut up! Hey, come on now. I would have been a great father. I would have spoiled my kid and all that stuff, and lots of love and everything. No, see, after this weekend and dealing with a lot of kids, even other people's kids and stuff, that were over, crying and fighting and getting into everything. I'm so happy. I'm at peace here at my house. Even if it's a small house, it might be a little house in a little town of Brooks.
Touch that. Keep your hands off of that.
I am so happy that the only person I'll yell at is myself, and I don't even do that, When I go to home, I get yelled at. I can't even do anything without getting yelled at, Oh my God, holy shit. They want me to be a part of the early proceedings, on Monday instead of coming to do the podcast. I'm just like, no, I'd rather do my podcast because any idea that I've given you thus far, you didn't want to do anyway. So what difference does it make if I'm there or not? It was pretty much other people's idea what Dad wanted. They had no idea what Dad wanted. I know what Dad wanted, and I got turned down many times. I had some good ideas, to really honor him. And what really sucked? Because it's Lent, Lent season. Yeah. You think that you'd be able to have an actual? They had sandwiches and stuff, but no meat. Oh no! I was getting cheese. I had buns. I had cheese, and I had a pickle. I was just like, "Where's the meat?"
Exactly.
Oh, it's Lent. You can't have meat on Lent. But yet, in the salad that they made, it was like some noodle salad that had pepperoni in it. I'm just like,
that's
what?
Meat.
Yeah, Lent.
That is meat.
Yeah, I know. Did they not
Friday,
know that?
Though?
It was on a Friday. The funeral was on a Friday.
They could have had at least fish sticks or something.
We could have had. Yeah, I was hoping that we would have had something at the house because we were trying to get the house cleaned up and everything. I thought people were going to come over after the funeral, like how it should have been. Like we should have said, "Hey, we're doing something at the house," like a little barbecue or something, because the weather was fine. It was fine.
But for Lent, aren't you allowed to have fish on Fridays?
Yes, but I'm just saying it's like we let the women at the church do all the meals because supposedly they always do a good job. Well, they did a mediocre job this time. I mean, I would have wanted meat on my funeral for crying out loud. I don't care if it's Lent or not.
Okay, what meat it is?
You got people that are here from all religions and stuff. They don't give a shit about meat or anything, or don't care. They don't want it. They don't have to have it. But if you're gonna give me a sandwich, give me some meat or something.
That's excited. So I shit myself.
I didn't want to make a cheese and pickle sandwich. I mean, what the fuck? You say with no mayonnaise? What the fuck?
You have the pickle. Did you have the little pickle wraps with the cream cheese and?
No.
You need ham for those. Never mind.
Yeah, pizza would have been better. Jeez,
man, I got to tell you the whole thing of funerals, man. I already made my girl promise me, if you fucking man. Again, I grew up in a Mormon household, and I hated the funerals. So I hate somber. To me, funerals are the only person you're sad for when somebody dies is yourself, because you're gonna miss them. And
Oh yeah.
they're like your dad. And like, I'm just saying for myself, you know, I've lived a great fucking life. You know, if I died tomorrow, don't fucking shed
Well,
a
don't
tear for me.
tomorrow.
Don't
I
shed
will
a
shed a
fucking,
tear.
don't
Yeah,
shed a
don't cry
fucking
for me.
tear.
Go ahead and cry for yourself, but don't
Yeah.
cry for me because you know what?
I'm
I died
free.
happy.
I'm free,
Yeah.
man. I'm fucking, my body's torn up. I'm fucking worn out, you know, and I'm happy to be alive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but
Yeah,
when
don't say anything like that, you know, because we need you around.
if you're gonna have a fucking, if you're gonna do anything in memory of me, it better be your belly's better be full. Smoke all the weed you could ever want to smoke, drink all the libations you could ever want to drink, and every story that comes out of you about me better make you fucking laugh, because that's all I care about, man.
And have all the kids build a backyard ring so they can do some backyard wrestling.
That's right.
No
That's
shit,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd have a hardcore match in your honor. I tell you.
There you
That
go,
was
man. That's my point. Life is, you know, the amount of time that we get to spend on this planet is so minuscule. Even if you live to be 90 years old, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, I've done everything in my life that I could have ever have dreamed of or hoped to have wanted to do. I've been all over the world. I've entertained thousands of people live. You know, I was just talking to my girl about that yesterday. With, you know, that's the hardest part about retiring in the wrestling business is when you know, and football players and people who, when you perform in front of thousands of people, that's truly what PTSD is learning how to cope with, you know,
Sure.
all of a sudden one day you're in front of 18,000 people and the next day you're not.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about withdrawal, try to figure that one out, you know, overnight. And that's all I'm saying is, man, life is so short, and I've been so lucky, and maybe most people don't feel that way, but just the fact that I was given life and I have the opportunity to be here and experience the wonderful things in my life from the people I meet every day. I'm so thankful for that.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's the thing too, that even with myself, and I'm not saying that I want to go anytime soon, because I want to be around for. I still have stuff I want to do. I'm not ready yet.
Oh, me too, brother.
Just so you know, I'm just letting God know, you know, just so you know, I still have things I want to do.
I'm not inviting the Grim Reaper in.
Yeah. Not yet. I want to be as old as I can be. You know, I'm so old where I don't even know who I am anymore. You know. And
yeah,
right. That happens right now.
Anybody else?
Oh, yeah, not me, right. Brother.
I have to go to Mama T's. I have to go to Mama T's house by accident, thinking that she's my wife.
The shit goes south, man.
I lose my mind. Go ahead and put me out of my misery, man.
When the
wait a minute. I better rephrase that, because a lot of people already think I've lost my mind. So
yeah, absolutely.
See, I just, man, when the shit starts going south, then it's, man, fucking waiter, check, please.
Yeah.
Check.
Yep. If I start going to Mama T's house and thinking that she's my wife and all that, you know. Well,
I'll put you down. Don't worry.
It might just be bad for Mama T.
Your honey, I'm home. You know, like, you don't live here.
You ain't around home, honey.
I brought chicken.
Well, maybe you can stay a few minutes.
And I brought other things.
Frankie, anyway. I'm taking for granted that you live alone.
I do. I honestly do. I probably wouldn't talk the way I do if I did.
I like living alone.
No, I mean, I do.
My boyfriend's been kind of pressuring me lately. He wants, well, you know, he wants a cohabitation situation. And I'm just like, sweetie, I like living by myself.
Yeah.
I like being able to roll over in my bed and stretch out. I like not having to worry about other people in my space. I like my space.
Well,
but
the funny
I annoy myself, but other people annoy me. Like, I can only stand to be around certain people for so long. Most people, I can only, you know, some people I can put up with longer, but I don't. I don't want anybody in my space for too long. I like my space now because I've never had it before. I've been from one relationship to the next my whole life. I've always lived with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this.
You know, the funny part though is, man, is that's why I got divorced, and my wife and I lived apart, and then we got back together, and we see, that's the funny part about what you're saying is we're more roommates, just really best friend roommates, and that share that, you know, if we want space, if she doesn't want to hang out with me, all she's got to do is go, hey, you know, I'm just going to spend my day. Cool, do that. And I can do the same thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm really lucky because I've got such a fantastic relationship in the place that I'm now, that I have exactly what you're talking about. Yet I got somebody that if I die tonight in my bed, I know she'll be standing there the next morning to find me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you won't be laying in your bed for a week. Well,
Right.
see, and that's another thing too. I wouldn't lay in my bed for a week rotting away as a corpse because there are certain people that I do contact every single day.
Right.
And if they try to contact me and I don't contact them back within a certain amount of time, then they start worrying, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have these things called children that actually acted like they cared, and then I divorced their mother because I wasn't happy for 28 years, and their mother made sure that I would have no contact with them for the rest of my life. And they, not only did I lose my wife, I lost my children too. So,
and that's really sad because my 20-year marriage, I haven't been in communication with my son. He still holds that against me. And his dad didn't turn him against me or anything. It was just his personal opinion that you can't just abandon your whole family because you're unhappy.
See, but then again though, in fairness, Mama T,
I'm like, you're 18, you're a grown ass man.
See, that's just
I didn't abandon you.
But the other side of that is that, like in my case, did my ex, you know, physically go, oh, you got to turn? No, they were raised to believe that same thing. And yet the part of that that's so ironic is that now all of my children who got mad at me for divorcing my wife have all been divorced, married, divorced more than I ever was. I was married to her for 28 years, and I've been with this woman now going on 20 years. And so I'm like the guy who believes in monogamy and commitment. And yet all of them have been divorced and remarried ridiculous amounts of time. And I just so badly, every time I think about that, I just laugh going, are you kidding?
Reminds you of an Alanis Morissette song, huh?
Yeah, right. Isn't it ironic?
It is.
It is.
You want to hear something ironic? So last night I had Kitschy Boogie on, right? And they were trying to. This guy was trying to think of the name of one of these new songs they were going to play live, and he was trying to think of the name of the song, and he couldn't. He just couldn't think of the name of the song. The song was Mind and Brain.
Never forget.
Yeah.
The name of the song was Never Forget.
Right.
Well, just can't forget. We don't want to forget about our guest that's actually in the studio now.
Oh, nice!
So we're gonna bring him in here, ladies and gentlemen. Legendary comedian, Mr. Marc Yaffee. Everybody,
what's up, kids? Hey, good to be here, man. I'm a little disheveled, didn't shave, having to sit outside, but yeah, okay. We made it. I'm on time. Yeah. That's very unusual.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna have to email you real quick or give you a phone call.
I appreciate the reminders, you know, when you need that sometimes you get a little older. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we appreciate having you on the show because I've been following your career for a little while. That I knew that you had a connection with Williams and Ree, and so did I as well. And also, I've seen a lot of your specials floating around YouTube and stuff. And laughing my ass off, by every special that I see that you've done, or even the shorts that come by, whatever that random. I'm just like, man, this guy is hilarious. We gotta get him on the show somehow. And lucky enough, we were able to communicate. So I appreciate you, Mark. Really, 100%.
Hey, 27 years in, I guess you finally start to make a little traction, and like I said, got to work with people like Bruce and Terry, Williams and Ree, and some other folks, and that, man, it makes you really appreciate getting to do this job and then hang out with nice folks like you guys.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I have a couple members of my crew. This is not the whole crew, but there's just a couple that were available today. We normally do a show on Monday nights, but we're taking a little spring break right now, so we'll be back on April 6th with the normal show. But this is Mama T. She's been with me pretty much since the beginning. And the beginning is like 2023. And the other one is Max Payne, who is a former WCW wrestler. If you remember World Championship Wrestling or the World Wrestling Federation. It was Max Payne in WCW and Mad Mountain Rock in the World Wrestling Federation back in the 90s.
I love your handles.
Wearing my Padres hat as an homage to you, my friend.
Yeah, are you from Cali?
No, I'm not from there, but I lived in San Diego in Chula Vista for 10 years and had one of the times of my life there. So I love San Diego.
San Diego's great. I went to college in San Diego, so I spent 4 years drunk in Tijuana, Mexico.
Yeah, I saw that on you. Yeah, that's why I wore the hat. I thought, well, I'll bring my own level of homage to his San Diego tenure.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, I can't believe I survived that.
Well, speaking of surviving, what have you been up to lately? I see that you were on a couple cruises, whatnot, before we started doing this interview.
Yeah, I just did my first contract with Virgin Cruise Lines, and it's so funny because you get on the cruise line and they have their own. Virgin has their own little lingo, like the other passengers are sailors, and you don't say hello, you say ahoy. And then the first-time cruisers are called extra virgins. I'm like, this is great. I've been extra virgin. I've been promoted to olive oil. I think extra virgin was my nickname in high school.
Oh, absolutely. And what's it like on a cruise? Because I've never been on a cruise like that before.
Oh, yeah, they vary. It really depends on the cruise line. I've worked for 4. I work regularly for 2 other ones, and the Virgin's experience is nice because you get passenger status. Some cruise lines you get guest status or crew status, so it's a little different. You're down on the crew deck, and it's a little less fancy. But Virgin, you're just like a passenger, wander around and eat when you want to, and the way they do it, the Virgin Cruise Line is different than a lot of the other cruise lines. All their specialty restaurants, it's included in the price of the cruise. So, I waited a little bit late. I was on for 2 weeks at the last couple nights, and I just had some really gourmet foods and stuff I'd never eat at home. Way different than frozen pizza. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's the reason you go on a cruise, right? I mean, it's to eat. I mean, that's everybody you ever hear talk about a cruise. That's the only, eat and drink, and then
eat and drink. Yes. So that's my whole goal is just try not to get too carried away with the food and spend a lot of time in the gym, and they a lot of the ships have nice. What's that?
A little sun.
And I get to go off to do I can go to the ports. I can do an excursion if I want to. So, I've been fortunate. I got to go to Antarctica a couple of years ago, and then Easter Island out there in the middle of the Pacific, which is
nice.
Which is the farthest inhabited island from any landmass on the planet. It was crazy. Yeah.
So do you just do one show a day then?
It depends. Some cruise line like this one I did 2. One night I did 2 shows, but usually just one. I've worked on Carnival. You might do 2 or 3 in a night.
Wow.
So it varies from the ship to ship, and even within the own cruise line, some of the ships will run it differently. So that's all. You have to be on your toes because you need you to do 2 family-friendly shows, and then do it next. 11:30 that night, you're doing an adults-only cruise. Adults only show, and so it's 1 minute you're talking to kids, next minute you're talking about people.
When you do that, do you just forgive me, but in the wrestling business, it's funny because sometimes we would have to wrestle, and even if it wasn't the same night, the next day we'd wrestle in a town close to us, and so you can't do the same wrestling match, you know, the same in the same town, and especially if you wrestled twice in the same day in the same kind of a venue, and we've done that where we would be we worked at Disneyland. You have to change if you wrestle in the same guy, you can't wrestle the same match exactly the same, because if you do, the people are going to go, well, you know, what good is that to go watch it again? Do you change your material up intentionally, or do you just?
See, that's a little different. Like some of the cruise lines will even say this is a repeat show because they want new people to cycle through the venue because they don't want fans to same people keep coming back, and then, you know, it's a 200, 300 seat venue and there's 3,000 passengers, so they intentionally say it's going to be a repeat show, but you know, I'll still change it up some. So they like you to be kind of structured, but sometimes you just wing it, and then you can change it up because you want to keep it fresh and introduce some new stuff or present it a little different. And a lot of it is a crowd. You know what I'm going to do in front of a PG crowd on Carnival Cruise Line with 6-year-old kids in the front row, waiting for the Build-A-Bear seminar to start afterward, versus when you're doing drunk at 11:30 at night. You know, that's.
Yeah, but
you want to engage the audience too, and if you've got a different audience, you know, you can do you do that? Do you involve your audience at all in your shows?
I'm not a huge crowd work comic, but I will. You know, if things happen, I kind of if there's someone being drunk or goofy,
take care of the hecklers, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of crowd maintenance. A lot of people, we won't sit up front because the comics pick on us. It's like, no one just randomly starts attacking. There's a couple comics that will do that, but then usually people know them for that, and they're like, you know, pick me. They want to sit up front, but that's one of the misnomers and, you know, the kind of the untrue lore of comedy that everyone who sits up front is going to be picked on. So, you know, I got a cordless microphone. I can walk back to the back of the room. You know, you don't have, some people think if they sit, you'll go to a half empty room and people will sit like 2 or 3 rows back. I say, you're still the first row. You know that there's no one in front of you.
Yeah. And if you're drunk in the front row heckling me, yes, you happen to be in the front row and I'm going to say something to you. It's not because you're in the front row. It's because you're being a jerk.
And I don't mind doing crowd work. Sometimes it'll throw you off and you forget where you were, where you left off and you're set. You want to kind of stay structured because you got a certain time requirement, and it just keeps, it can take you off your path, but sometimes that's fun too. Just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Terry and Bruce, because when they did their stuff, they were always picking on the crowd all the time.
Oh yeah, and at the end they got when they were like 40, 50 years in, they'd get even more outspoken because they're like, hey, we've been around, we don't need to censor ourselves. That was the same with Charlie Hill, the late Charlie Hill. You'd be that same way. You get to that point like, let's let it rip. I know Williams and Reed, they had made some Canadian joke, and they were getting death threats, and people were saying, it wasn't even that bad a joke. It was just really crazy, and they were telling me about that. It's like, man,
people get offended so easily.
I'm not famous yet. I haven't had any death threats. That's when I'll know I'm successful.
Yeah, the other side of it is don't go to a comedian, and if you go to a comedian, for God's sakes, I mean, use your head. I mean, they're there to offend everybody. It's like Lenny Bruce, man. You just offend everybody, then that way you don't got to worry about who's offending.
And everyone has their own, PTSD. Like, some people, hey, my son has special needs, and you used the R word. You said retarded, or my mother has dementia, and you joked about dementia. So, I mean, out of 200, 300 people, something's going to offend someone about something. But most people are like, that's why, I offend myself and make fun of myself. It's like, hey, I'm not here just to pick on you.
Self-deprecating.
My situation. Yeah, we're all in this together.
Self-deprecating comedians, I think, are the best because you can keep it clean. You don't offend anybody except for maybe your mother because she made you.
Yeah. That was my mom's line when I started doing comedy. So if I see you cussing on stage, I'll come up there, wash your mouth out with soap. And I was like in my 30s. Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
So I really want to know about the Powwow Comedy Jam and how that all got started.
Wow. Let's see. That's we're going back to the turn of the century. I met Von Eaglebear. He was he's a Lakota Colville guy out of Spokane at an open mic at the Brick Wall Comedy Club. Used to be up there in Spokane, and he was doing his stuff. He was we just happened to be on the same show, and then he came back out to see another one of my shows. I said, "Man, that's fun." That was at the time the blue collar comedy with Larry the Cable Guy and Ron White and all those guys, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall. So we should do something like that for natives. And we kind of just chewed on it. Then I was working in Michigan, and I met another native comic named Jim Rule, and I told my idea, and he knew another guy, J.R. Redwater, and then we just kind of got together and we did a couple, just three, where it was just three of us, little test shows, and then we went to Lac des Flambeaux, Wisconsin, a casino there, and the place just people loved it, and then it just kind of took off, and got to do Showtime Going Native special in 2009. So that helped give us a little more status, and then we still do some shows once in a while. We all got together in November and did something in Prairie Nights in South Dakota, so that was fun.
That's awesome. And you've done so many things too. I mean, you're not just a comedian. I mean, you're a writer, an actor.
But my acting resume is pretty short, but I've done some commercials and some little bit things, and then I wrote for George Carlin, Laugh.com, which is kind of a funny story. I did a show in 2004 is Latino Laugh Festival down in LA, and then the host, they said, "Oh, do you need a credits?" I didn't have many credits back then. So he goes, I wrote for George Carlin's Laugh.com. So the host brings me up. This next guy coming to the stage wrote for George Carlin. Please welcome Marc. No, I wrote for George Carlin. And I'm like, I'm barely into the game. I couldn't stop. So that's, I get the only credit as a comedian who wrote for George Carlin, even though that never happened. I wrote for George Carlin, Laugh.com. They just loaned his name to the website, and I sold some jokes.
Sure. I remember that website too. That was that was one of the first websites I remember really enjoying too. Laugh.com. I remember.
It's crazy how especially social media, comedy is so accessible, which is good and bad now, because now people never have to leave their house. They can watch hours of comedy for free, and they get the 15-second sound bites. They don't have to sit through the check drop and the opening act and the guest set. So I think in a way we're almost competing against ourselves.
Well, so what got you into comedy in the first place? Like, why choose that as a career over anything else you could have done?
I was doing. I worked for the state of California as a driving examiner, and my friend's like, "Hey, all the high schools are dropping driver's training. I'm going to open a driving school. You should come work for me, and then get enough hours. You can open your own school there, make more money, private." It's like, yeah, I wanted to get away from the state. It was kind of a depressing job. So I started teaching driver's training to students in the car. And then when I started my own school, I got licensed to teach traffic school for people who got tickets. And then people like my comedy. I was just joking around. I wasn't intending to be a comedian. So then I'm like, well, we can make more money if I can hire comedians and do it and promote it as a comedy school, because they had improv traffic comedy school and some other. So people stuck in a room, they want to at least find someone that was funny. So I was trying to recruit some comedians. I ended up going to Sacramento, and a comic there, and this other two comedians were teaching how to be funny class. So I ended up just taking the class, and that teacher liked me, started taking me out on the road way before I was ready, and then I just kind of took off from there.
Okay.
I backed into it, basically, is the short answer.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
So the funny part about that is,
the crazy part was like 2 hour. I was 2 hour drive each way, 4 hour round trip from the club where I started comedy. I lived in the mountains in the middle of nowhere in Northern California, so it was always every gig was a road gig.
What part of Northern California?
I was in Lake County, Kelseyville, like Clear Lake. So above Napa Valley.
So it sounds to me like you went to school for 4 years in San Diego. You obviously didn't go to school to be a driving instructor for the state.
I was going to be I wanted to be a diplomat, international relations major, and I was in that politics and that kind of and then I don't think I did pass the test. I was having the foreign service test or something, and then I was going to do I went to Cal State Northridge. I was doing media, like radio journalism, TV journalism, and then got a master's. And then my friend and I started writing scripts. We wrote a script. I'll just do that. And then we were trying to sell that script, and DMV was hiring. My friend worked for DMV part-time. So fell into that. I said, this isn't a bad job. And I did that. And then moved up north, got married, and then the driving school came around. So not like one of those guys, like I knew from the age of 7, I was going to be on stage. And I didn't have that experience. No.
Well, I suppose doing the DMV stuff, I mean, is it just like everybody always says, it's like, because I remember, getting my driver's license and how nervous I was, in front of the instructor, because most of those guys are always mean. They're always, everybody's always has a pissed off attitude at the DMV.
Right. It's just, it's just a miserable job. I don't think they're miserable people. It's just a miserable setting, and everyone's always stressed, and the people are always, angry because you're having to take their money and then send them away because they didn't have the right documents. So I tried to have a pretty good attitude, I mean, I was lucky because I was outside most of the time. I'd go outside, take a test, and then, come back in, go out. So I wasn't stuck at the counter like a lot of those people, but, I mean, I liked it because I was the state back when I was working. I think they still do it. You had these merit award board suggestions. Like if you came up with ideas to make things run better, they would give you like a award. It was $75 or $100. So I made a few $1,000s on that. A lot of my ideas got implemented. Like changing address forms and how to make it easier. Because I was trying to, I was like, hey, if you're going to help people out, and then some of the employees complained because I was doing that while I was working. And the manager's like, oh, you can't do it. I said, there's no one at the window. Because I was in an office with 7 people.
Yeah, and not only that, it wasn't like you were working on something outside of work.
Oh, they were just jealous.
Work-related stuff.
They were mad because I kept getting all these checks, and they weren't just petty. People can be petty, so I was like, oh, whatever.
So Mark, I did hear or read somewhere that there are certain audiences that you kind of go for. Kind of like your favorite audiences, like the certain message that you want to share, like with specific groups.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not really that particular. I mean, I really like doing overseas military shows. Those have always been good because obviously you're providing, some relief for people that are in the military, that are away from home, and they're not expecting, they don't have much going. It's a lot of monotony and danger depending on where they're at. So those are great. Those are great audiences. The one thing though is it's harder. The older you get, it's harder to relate to an 18, 19-year-old. But you find a common ground. And then I'll do some fundraiser shows. Those are always really fulfilling. Because you're helping raise some money or it's for a cause. But I don't really have like a particular oh man, this is my audience right here. I like a mix, of young and old and different ethnicities and different backgrounds. I think I like to have that universal appeal, and I really like when I can get like people my age, if they're laughing and they're our generation, that's great. But then when you like some 20-something or 30, younger, oh man, we were so funny, or a little kid, and oh yeah, you're my favorite comedian ever. Oh man, I guess the stuff connected because you don't always know that what you're saying is gonna make sense to someone from a different generation or a different region of the country. So I try to be as universal as I can.
So like people that need to laugh. Like I thank you so much for lightening the moods of our military.
Yeah, I've had that where people, I just lost my mother last week, and we need to get out, and my husband just passed. I'm so grateful we were able to come. So those things are super fulfilling too. You don't know when that's going to happen. And then of course.
Oh yeah, well, I just lost my father here within the last week or so, and we had the funeral here this weekend. Yeah, man, I tell you, humor. I definitely need to be around more humorous people, and that's why you could have been here at a better time right now. Honestly.
Oh, good. Yeah, I always thought, man, that would be. What if they did what if people were like light enough? When I pass, I'm like, maybe I just do a roast when I'm getting buried.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone makes we finally got him to sit still. The ADD, he was out of control. At least he's not here, and he's actually.
That's what I was just. We were literally just talking about that. Let's if anybody cries at my funeral, you're at the wrong place because.
Right. Well, you see that now more people. Celebration of life.
Yeah, exactly, man. Be happy because the shit's over. And I had a great one, so don't feel bad for me. You know, I hope there's a shitload of food there and a lot of alcohol and a boatload of weed. So just enjoy the shit out of it.
Yeah, right.
That's what we were doing earlier. I was kind of roasting Frankie a little bit because, you know, he needs to laugh, and you know, I love roasting him. We did a roast for him for his birthday. I mean,
stop over here, I tell you.
But he needs to laugh. What would you say if he was in front of you and you were on stage and found out his dad just died? What would you say to lighten his mood?
Wow, now I'm on the spot. Come on, Frankie. What do you say? Hey, well, you know, who bought these flowers? I don't know. Come on.
I suppose you have to get to know the person first.
Is that one of those Costco caskets? That's what they say about mine, because you know Costco caskets.
No shit. Let me ask you this, brother. How one thing I noticed about you is, and I found this incredibly refreshing as I watched your show, is I mean, it's almost hard to even call you light blue. You don't cuss, you don't go for the hardcore shit at all.
No, well, I'm working with my friend Jimmy Della Valle. We just did a Clean Comedy Kings show the other day, and I think that niche is back in. Now, on the flip side, though, like I work on Carnival, they have adult shows, and that can be a little dirty. I don't drop a lot of F-bombs, but there's some, adult sensitive material in there. Yeah.
But when a guy like you drops an F-bomb.
Well, dry bar is pretty clean, yeah. So you get, and then open bar, which was kind of the anti-dry bar, that was like do whatever you want to do. So, unfortunately, I mean, I didn't really have cuss much in my daily life till recently. I've just been on a what the hell? I just start blurting and dropping it. Like, what the heck's that about?
I think the thing about it is that people don't realize that comedy can be clean if you really want it to be. You don't have to swear at all if you don't want to.
And there's some guys, it's part of their persona. Richard Pryor, he would have still been fun, but he wouldn't have been Richard Pryor if he was a dry bar comedian, right? Obviously, there's
exactly.
There's limits on that. But I think it's good to have a general appeal because people that like dirty comedy will still laugh at clean comedy, and you get people on the ships. They're like, oh well, we didn't want to go to your show because we only like dirty comedies. It's just as funny. It's just I'm just talking different.
The irony of what you just said is amazing, though, because when Richard Pryor started, he started on the Ed Sullivan Show. For God's sakes, he started
same with George Carlin. He was super.
Yeah,
clean.
Exactly. So these guys all started in those places where they absolutely couldn't do that, and so initially they all knew how to do it that way. And perfected their comedy through appealing to the general public. So that's what I found amazing about you, because if you did drop an F-bomb, I had a great writing instructor say one time, if you read a book and the whole page is filled with the word fuck, then it means nothing after 2 pages. But if you read a book and in the middle of the book you see the word fuck shows up once, you'll never forget that moment in the book, Yep.
The only the only F-bomb I usually do is I do one about the joke about adios motherfucker at the drink. That's about it.
That's what I mean.
So that's actually the name of the drink. So it's not even
right.
I'm just
So I just found that really refreshing about your comedy is, and the other side of your comedy that I really enjoy is, to me, the thing about comedy, I think that as I was watching you, is what we love about comedians is because as human beings, what we love is storytelling. You don't have to belly laugh at every moment. When you're up there and you're out there telling stories, it's the pacing, it's all of that makes that storytelling appealing for all of us to be willing to sit there for half an hour or 45 minutes and listen to what you're saying, and then at the end go, wow, that guy was amazing. I really enjoy. I mean, there wasn't a moment I didn't love. Who were the people that influenced you the most to get to that you when you find? I mean, I read that you didn't start until you were 30 years old, And so
No,
who
it's
were the
37. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anniversary is next week. Yeah. Beginning of
Oh
April.
wow. Yeah.
So who were the comedians that really, if you
Well,
were going to say, I mean, you mentioned Carlin a few times, and you.
yeah. I did.
So
Yeah, I always respected him. I wasn't like I had all his albums or anything like that. I wasn't like a comedy junkie growing up, but I really liked growing up. I liked sitcoms and I really liked good writing. Like I was in All the Family and Sanford and Son and all that stuff, you know. And then when I was this is probably 1984, 1985, went to Cal State Northridge and saw Sam Kinison right before he blew up.
oh
Doing
wow.
it was crazy. He was doing all that stuff, just wild man with like 20 students in a student union on a Wednesday night in Northridge, California. And you can see this guy, that was like, wow, was this mind blowing. And then and then it took me another 13 years to get around to doing comedy. But another thing that really inspired me is I was starting to teach the comedy traffic school. And I thought, well, I should try to do actual stand up. And then we went to this one show at a Lions Club, and this Oakland comedian by the name of Donald Lacey was there, and it was a one-nighter, just not like a club. It's not all weekend. It's just one show. And he was doing his first show since his daughter had been murdered. And I'm like, man, if this guy, and he was so funny, and the audience was so supportive. He told him right out. It was like, you could just see the energy back and forth. I'm like, man, if that guy has the balls to do that, then I should really get off my ass and do stand-up. So I think that really helped me out a lot too.
Oh, that's awesome because we need more comedians. We need more people that want to be part of the arts. I always kept saying that I wish the schools would care more about pop culture and art than teaching us about the history of violence and everything. I mean, I know we need to know that stuff, but I could care less about how many wars we've had. I'd actually rather know about the history of rock and roll music or something, or the history of film.
Because we got to study British history or ancient civilizations. Study the history of jazz or rock or
I mean, I don't know. Do they offer that in your schools in California at all? Like just the regular schools?
I think there's the magnet schools that probably do. There's some. They have like New York City and LA arts academies. So I suspect they do. I never went to one. My school was kind of cool. I went to a Catholic high school, and we did like what do they call it? Like an intercession break, where I think I took like a history of dance or something. Like I wouldn't like dance, kind of hang out, talk to girls,
Sure.
It was like this teacher. This guy he was like this big disco dude. The teacher, I liked the teacher too. He was a speech, so he was just fun to be around. And then there was some other like class. There was all just these off the wall kind of classes you could take, and I think that definitely is a good point. That's needed. We're just so like, oh, you got to just be a cookie cutter, learn math, science, reading, writing, so you can get a job and make money for someone else. There's more to life than that.
So you have a very interesting background as far as like your birth parents and how you were raised. And I'm wondering how all of these different influence, the Navajo, the Mexican, the Scottish, the Irish, the German, the Jewish, how all of that comes out in your comedy, how that affected your comedy and your writing.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty. I think it makes me pay attention to more things because I was exposed to a lot of different things. In other words, I wasn't like in a real regimented monoculture that I grew up in. I grew up around a lot of different influences. So I think that just helped me to appreciate different things and have a better perspective I might have had than if I'd been raised just in a real strict narrow background. I don't know. It's hard to say. I just that's all I know. So I can't. It's hard to compare it to.
Gives you more of an open mind, I think.
Hopefully, I mean, I like to think I'm open-minded, but
Well, you have to be. You're a comedian. You can't just be a private person. I mean, you can be private all you want, but it's like but in your stick, you got like I said, you're telling stories about yourself and put yourself
there's a lot
out there.
There's a lot of introverts in comedy. That's for sure. I'm off stage. Some guys are always on, and we call those guys exhausting. And then some of it's fun, but most comics just, all right, I'm done. I go back. They're into reading or other music or other things. So that's, I think if anything, you see a metamorphosis of people on stage and what their offstage persona.
So when you're not doing comedy and doing just a business and all, like what do you do in your free time? What type of person are you, out there in public and stuff, or in your
I'm kind of a
life?
workaholic, so I think I'm writing jokes, or I work. I got my fiance and I have a place in Nevada, in Sparks, Nevada. So I'm a lot of yard work right now. I moved fish out of the pond and clean out algae and get the pond ready for the season, put in plants and stuff. So I like working outside. I like hiking, travel. I really like, just seeing new places, which is part of my job. I get paid to do that a lot. So that's really good. Yeah. So,
Do you think,
get
Mark,
restless of one spot too long.
do you think the face of comedy? So the wrestling, just real quick, because the wrestling business, the way the wrestling business used to be before the one main company, sort of changed history, was you did the road. You broke in and you wrestled in front of 25 people for 5 years, and you
Like
you
a farm
paid your
system.
dues. Right,
Yeah.
you paid your dues. You broke in and did it the hard way. Now with social media, is that changing? And do you like those changes? Do you think it's good for comedy, or do you think that the old school? Because I argue about this a lot with my wrestling friends, because it's so different. How do you feel about the way
It's a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
Because comedy is way more accessible, and people can just scroll and find you. On the other hand, is the comics don't come up, and they don't have the same appreciation of the struggle and how to build and act. Like you get these guys that they're comedic personalities on YouTube or TikTok, and then now they got 2 million followers, 5 million. Now the club wants to book them, and they have no act. They got like 10 minutes of jokes, which aren't even that structured. Being funny in a sketch, or being funny in a Facebook Live or an interview, is different than being funny on stage and having an act structure with a flow. And I think people don't understand that. So I think that's sad, that's missing. But at the same time, it's nice to see, the people can get around the gatekeepers, and it's not so much some, nepotism or favoritism, and it's leveled the playing field in some regards. But it's come at the cost is, like you said, people don't pay their dues. They don't develop that. They don't have the same appreciation. They just expect, well, yeah, if I do these videos and get this many followers, I'll be set. Well, that's kind of an industrialization of the arts. Yeah.
That's not how it works. I'm sorry. Just because you can do one impression of one line from one famous actor does not make you an impressionist.
Right. You'd be surprised how many people, they have those limited skills, and then people, including comedy club owners, assume that they have this whole arsenal of material and impressions, and it turns out, it's the emperor has no clothes. So.
Right. That's the part that you wonder, is how, people like yourself, again, back to the storytelling element, that's the genius of what you do. Is it's not just the idea of being funny. It's the idea of being able to tell stories and be a storyteller for, to stand there for 45 minutes and not stop. Because you were just talking about it, that you write all the time. There's a new movie out. I'm curious to ask you about it if you've seen it, called Is This On, with Will Arnett and the Bradley.
I heard about that. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
Oh, damn! I was hoping you'd seen it, because I really wanted to know your opinion on it. It's really amazing, because I think I don't know how many similarities there will be to you, but this guy is much older in his life, and he discovers comedy quite accidentally, and then just starts working his ass off to change his life. And it's really I think it.
Yeah, now I definitely got to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be shocked if it doesn't win some Oscars. But I was hoping to, because you talked a little bit about your ex-wife and your new relationship and so on and so forth, and how hard is that to deal with at home? Because this movie has a lot of that in it, in dealing with the fact that you're exposing so much of your personal life in your comedy.
Yeah, well, my fiance, she's pretty supportive. You know, some jokes like, I prefer you don't do that. You know, maybe we should. Maybe we don't talk about that one. You know, but she's pretty much, yeah, you're doing your thing, and I support you. And I don't get a sense. In fact, it's nice to have somebody like her, my fiance. I'll throw some jokes at my oldest daughter. She's a good muse. You know, she'll, oh, that's not funny at all, Dad. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. You know, if she says that's pretty funny, then that's gonna be probably golden because she's like a hardcore critic. But I don't think you know, overall comedy hasn't affected the home life as far as material wise. It is, you know, it can be stressful if you're gone and like, oh yeah, the air conditioning went out. You're dealing with some irrigation, or something happened, you know, and you're not there to really be supportive at that time, or you know, so that can be more of the bigger issue. Is just the logistics of not being home.
So are you still on the road a lot? How many days a year are you still on the road?
It depends because, you know, more and more I did ships last year, but I switched agents, so I haven't got a ton of ship dates this year. So I'd say I'm on the probably 18, 20 days a month I'm gone.
Jesus.
Average, yeah. Sometimes
so you're
a little
a busy
less.
guy. That's the road life, man.
That's the I say they don't pay you to stay home and tell jokes. No one's showing.
Yeah, no, I know that feeling. As a wrestler, I understand that completely, man.
Yeah.
You got to be on the road to make money.
You got to go where the people are. You know.
Absolutely.
Now that what has changed is now I can sit here and put up clips and I'll do some jokes into the camera. You know, like stuff I come up with about being in front of an audience. So you can do some at home. During COVID I did this jokes from the jacuzzi series in the backyard. You know, because people like that. I got a good following with that. And one of the local came out and did a story about it. And, yeah, there's workarounds, but it's generally, you know, we're like truck drivers. They don't get paid for staying home.
How long do you listen yourself? How long do you know, obviously as an athlete, you know you're limited. You can't, well, I guess I should be careful saying that because Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair thought Hogan wrestled until he was 75, and
wow,
Ric Flair
I didn't know that.
Doesn't look like he's ever going to retire. But how long do you look forward to doing this?
I don't know. I mean, that's the beauty of comedy. It's not like dancing or baseball or other sports, man. If you can still talk and they can wheel you up on stage, you can still do it. You know, if you get tired traveling. So I don't know.
Sorry.
We'll see. I'll probably go to at least 70, 75. We'll see.
No. So
what was Mark My Word about?
Oh, that was a CD I did a few years ago, and then I think I recorded a special, and I just like to mark my words because MARC is my spelling, and that was one of my earlier specials that I did. The guy I ended up working with that. We also did a sitcom pilot was called Almost Americans. I played a native guy who's sentenced to community service because some drunk white supremacist guy came on stage, and I don't know if I pushed him off the stage or he fell off, and I get charged with assault. You know, so I have community service. I teach a citizenship class to all these immigrants, and then we kind of get involved in their lives and stuff. So it was fun. We had one of the actors from Breaking Bad, Stephen Michael Quesada, was in it, and then Jerry Bednob from 40-Year-Old Virgin, a couple people, and then a lot of New Mexico actors. So.
You ever get confused for like people think you're George Lopez at all?
I get that. I've gotten that more than once. In fact, because we're basically the same age, and I grew up like probably 2-3 miles from where he grew up.
Well, I mean, it looks like you guys could be brothers. You look familiar. You look similar. You know, like
I would think that people mistake you more for Eddie Van Halen than anybody, man.
I get Eddie Van Halen, Gene Simmons, George Lopez. One guy said Ozzy Osbourne. I almost jumped off the back of the ship.
Jesus. Oh, that's a stretch.
That person needed glasses.
You know what the crazy part was? He was the ship cosmetology guy. You know, they do like they'll do both. Yeah, he was the doctor on the ship, not the medical doctor, but the spa doctor. I'm like, well, maybe he's trying to scare me into getting some work done. I don't know.
Well, we appreciate you, Mark, man. I tell you, this has been a fun interview, and
you guys.
I
I
want
love
to
the
just.
format too, man. Everyone's got great questions, and it's a good flow.
Well, I mean,
Is that- yeah.
we're a hodgepodge of just information and stuff. We
But that's
love
not
we love
easy.
comedians.
Yeah, you guys jumping in and out, and you make it flow. I mean, because that can be, like Williams and Ree. You
Yeah.
when you're working in tandem. That's why I like comedy, because I don't have to worry about stepping on someone else's toes. I just, my jokes fly or they don't fly on my own. But that's an art to it. And you guys do a good job with it.
Funny story about Williams and Ree is that, and this is the biggest thing that I could ever say about those guys, that they're very, not only were they the legends in what they did, and they always will be, but they were nice enough to come to my house in 2017, October of 2017, the day that they were being inducted to the South Dakota Country Music Hall of Fame in Rapid City. They came to my house, and I got to, my friend and I did a thing called Rapid Fire Radio, and we got to interview them in our house. We had a radio station.
Wow, that's so cool. They came out.
I didn't think they did house calls. I was surprised. When they said they were
during
come
COVID,
over.
during COVID, they went to an assisted living, and this lady's 100th birthday, and they did a show outside her window for her. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, but that's not the same as coming to somebody's house. I didn't think they'd ever do that. I mean, most comedians would never do that, I don't think, but or little professionals, but they did it. I don't know why. I don't know why they agreed, but they didn't even know who I really was. I could have been a killer, murderer, whatever.
Right. Well, I consider coming. What kind of sandwiches do you make for lunch?
Only the best. Only the best bologna sandwich or bologna sandwiches.
I know how to make really good. I know how to make really good fry bread.
Oh, nice. Okay, now we're talking.
I'd like to share a quick story with you before you go, brother. You were talking about doing it till being a comedian till you were like 75 years old, and I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of different people in the wrestling business, and I worked with a couple of guys from England. And this one guy was amazing, man. He knew all these great comedians that he introduced me to from England. And one was a guy named Chubby Brown, and just some people that were just fantastic. And there was an old comedian that he was like 75 or 80 years old, and he was out there on the stage doing his act. And he's in the middle of his set. And he has a heart attack on stage and dies in front of the audience.
That's not a bad way to go.
Didn't realize it was a work. And so the people behind the curtain went out there and reached underneath the curtain and pulled him underneath the curtain. And the crowd died laughing. And
way to go out.
Could you imagine? I mean, talk about the best way to be a comedian. Don't feel bad for that guy. He left the stage in the perfect way. And I always, when you were telling that, I had to share that story with you, because I always thought that was, what a great career to have. And then and you're on the stage and die, and they pull you off the stage, and
the crowd is
people
going
are
nuts.
laughing at you as they're pulling you underneath the curtain. That seemed to be the perfect way and the perfect homage to your own demise. So
yeah. So
anyway,
you had one more question.
Yeah,
that's a great story.
So, do you have a good story for us? I mean, you've got to have a good story, like the funny. What show that you've done stands out to you as like being the best show you've ever done, or the funniest, or the most influential, maybe?
Man, well, I've had a lot of memorable ones. Like I did comedy on Alaska Airlines for the passengers. We were trying to promote a show we were doing in Fairbanks, so that was crazy. I did like 10 minutes of stand up, but you only have the cords. You're like, there's the wall right there. You're trying to lean in, and people are like, what's going on? Has the pilot been drinking? That was pretty amazing. But probably the most memorable was in Iraq, like 2007 or 2008, and we did a show. You start, the shows happen whenever the personnel are available. So we did like a cafeteria show at 9 a.m. or 900, whatever. And then they're like, the guys at the motor pool, they couldn't make the show. You think you'd go over and say hi? So we went to this motor pool, and these guys are working on all the equipment and stuff. So we did a show for them in this little tool shed, standing on like a workbench.
I
for
read
like
that. You
guys,
did a
and
show in a
that's
tool
out.
shed.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
genius,
That's
brother.
awesome.
And then I think like 3 days later, it was right after that, I shaved my hair like this long, and we did a Ford operating base, and we were on a flatbed truck doing the show, and the other truck was pointing with that was the lights, the headlights in the one truck, and then the flatbed, that was the stage. And so I'm like, man, they've had some tragedy at the base, and they lost a few of the Marines, so they said we should just do something different. And so I said I'm going to shave my head on stage. So that we got up there and
Wow.
Sergeant buzzed my head. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Wow.
And then
I'll bet
Stephen
that-
Colbert did it like 3 months later, and it's like they got all this press, oh, Kobe, you went over that rack shaved his head. I did that way before you did.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate having you on, Mark, and thanks again for spending time with us. And you know, I didn't mind waiting. You know, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity.
Well, yeah, send me the link. I'll be glad to share it with my followers. And
I will.
Are you near Rapid City, Frankie? Then? Or?
Well, we're actually northern Minnesota. Well, I'm northern Minnesota. Mama T's northern Minnesota, and Max is in Idaho.
Where in northern Minnesota?
Real close to Thief River Falls, or maybe like real close to Bemidji.
I'll be at White Earth. I'm going to be at White Earth Reservation on April 11th. 6 o'clock show, free.
Is that in Monoman, or is that over in Monoman area, or Okima?
Monoman, yes, yeah.
Oh,
That's so funny.
Wow.
I am literally halfway between Grand Forks and Bemidji.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe make it out.
So, oh my God. And geez, April 11th, that is the same day that Kitschy Boogie is in Cass Lake.
Oh.
So you're in White Earth. Where in White Earth?
Yeah, I guess
at 6 o'clock. I don't know. That's probably couldn't be.
It's actually not too far from me. I'm actually only probably about 45 minutes away, if that, not that.
Yeah. Where you at, Max?
I'm in Idaho, and it's funny because I know you did a CD in Idaho, Coeur d'Alene. I read something about you did something.
Yeah,
I went to school in Coeur d'Alene.
Are you on the Panhandle?
I went to school there. No, now I'm in Twin Falls, but I went to school in Coeur d'Alene. I love Idaho.
Yeah. I've done Burley, Jerome, Twin Falls, Idaho Falls, all that.
I'll keep my eyes open for you, my friend. If you ever come here, I will definitely come and see you.
Yeah, for the followers, your fans, it's laughwithmark.com, MARC. My parents couldn't spell.
Well, no, I will get a hold of you and talk to you privately, Mark. About meeting up on the 11th. Because I think that as long as the weather's good, I don't see. I mean, I could definitely take the day off to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'd love to. How early are you getting,
guys? Thank you for having me.
How early are you getting to Monoman that day?
Well, the crazy part is I got the shows Thursday and Friday in Northern California.
Okay.
So I'm flying out at 1 a.m. from San Francisco. I think I get into Minneapolis around 9:30 in the morning. So I'll probably be there 2 or 3. So yeah, let me know. We might have time to meet up and hang out for a bit.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, Mark. And again, thanks again for just being on the show. I do appreciate it, no matter what.
All right, guys, and I'll see you down the road.
You do great work, my friend. Stay good.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you when we come back after spring break on Monday, April 6th for more Renegade Radio. Bye-bye, everybody. We're ending the stream right now.